Hi, it's good to see you again.
Thank the same.
Last time we spoke like this, we were sitting on a plush gold couch in the ambassador's house, and
Mhm,
we had some wine. And so I'm sorry this is a little less fun and a little less lovely, but it is good to see you again.
mhm. I agree.
We're chatting because we're publishing our second book with you, Long Live the Posthorn, which was actually published in Norway maybe 5 years before Will and Testament. And it was the first book of yours I'd come across. I had, from my sins, been looking at other novels by other Norwegian writers, and then the people I reached out to for readers' reports and information and feedback and just a chat would invariably point me to your work and this book, Long Live the Posthorn, in particular. And so yeah, I was intrigued, and then by the time I got around to putting a bid together for the rights, Will and Testament had come out and caused mayhem and havoc, and so we bought them both and decided to publish Will and Testament first. So I am delighted that the day has finally come and I can publish and share Long Live the Posthorn with the world, because I have a great love for this book. It's a very different book to Will and Testament, so I wanted to talk about that for a little while and how the kind of any particular impetus or cue you had to write this singular novel.
Mhm. Um, the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard, he writes about a person, how a person can develop from being a kind of unconscious piece in the social machinery that follows all the written and unwritten rules of society, and moving machines, he calls these people. But he says, writes that you can develop from that kind of being a kind of moving machine to to be in contact with yourself and your innermost being and your deep needs, to get to know yourself and to know others. And it's so nice to read about, because I want to develop in that way. But it's easy when you read him, but how to do it in real life, I wanted to know. And then and he's also writing that there's so many people living in the basement of themselves, even though it's available rooms on the higher floors where the view is wonderful and the perspective is the eternity. So I wanted to investigate this question. And then, I let my main character, she's going one day into her basement, finding her uh, diary from 10 years ago, and she starts to read. And she reads, oh, I went to yesterday, the 4th, I went to the shop buying a pair of shoes. Maybe I go there tomorrow and buy another pair. I bought a jumper for mother's birthday. But I was on the cinema with Frank the next day, and the next week she was on a date with Paul, blah, 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 blah. And then, I, as a writer, and I push her into a crisis. So she said, is this what I've written down? These trivial details? Why? And then, is my life different now? No, it's not. And at a time when I was investigating this question and how to develop yourself, um, from the basement to the higher floors, I was together with my boyfriend was an PR consultant, and I could recognize and listen when he was talking to his clients, and he was talking about, it's a kind of um, it's a very flat language, and he was talking about, if you want to win in the media wants conflict, identification. It was an autopilot language, not in contact with the heart and not in the contact with the head. And I let my main character in the book, Eleanor, she has that kind of language. But then I had decided that she was a PR consultant, having a dramatic language, but what kind of assignment should she work with? And then by accident, I met a colleague of my boyfriend at that time, and he had been working for the Postal Workers Union against the EU's third directive. And then, I was talking, had a lot of meetings with him, and he told me all about how they work. So when it comes to how Eleanor, as a peer consultant, worked with the Postal Workers Union, all that is correct. And for the first time in history, at the national meeting in the Labour Party, the directive was rejected for the first time in history. So, I push my, just one more thing. When Eleanor, my main character, when she's meeting the post workers on the first meeting, she's starting to talk her automatical blah, blah language. If you want to win in the media, you must have conflict identification. And then suddenly, because I have pushed her into a crisis, she's looking at the faces of the postal workers, and she understands slowly. It's not a game. It's not a communication game. Their fear is real. This is reality. They can lose their jobs. They can lose salaries. Their houses. So that's, she finds, after a time, she finds a new language, a new. No, I'm saying too much, I think.
No, not at all. I love it. I love that kind of the serendipity of how that story came to you and the circumstances. And it's kind of fitting that kind of serendipitous series of events kind of being mirrored in kind of world events now, with like the EU as the kind of, dare I say, oppressive figure, and then with the slashing and burning of the US Postal Service. So that kind of, I like that echo of serendipity. But that scene you mentioned with when Eleanor meets the postal workers, and she's following her script that she has had for years, and the dialogue and the words, and then it kind of hits her how it's failing, and it's not a script, and you can't apply this kind of de facto script to real people and real lives and real workers. And that scene, it's both kind of affecting and moving, and it's hilarious. It's because the kind of the disparity in what she's saying and how it lands on their ears, and the feedback she's getting and the feedback she, I guess, is not getting, and her kind of mini collapse in that room, which she has to leave. I think it's one of several really, really strong, well orchestrated, almost kind of comedic set pieces in the book, which I think is worth exploring. Several of the reviewers of Will and Testament picked up on this kind of thread of dark humor that kind of pops up at jagged moments and catches readers off guard. And I agreed. I definitely found there to be a certain humor to Will and Testament. This book, however, I think it's more directly funny, and I think it's often very funny. But there are different strains of humor in the book. One form of humor is kind of in Eleanor's dissonance, which we spoke about in that meeting with the postal union representatives. But another one is those set pieces, of which there are several. How did you set about writing this book? Did you intend it to be so lively and funny and entertaining? And how do you think of your writing? Do you consider yourself a humorous writer, a funny writer? Do your books tend to lean that way naturally, or is it a construct?
No, it's very natural for me because and that's I started to write children's book, and they are of course funny. They have to be, but then when I started to write for grown-ups, so many, especially female writers, they are so afraid of not being taken seriously. So they, you can say on pictures, they're always very serious, and they're, take me serious. I'm a woman, but I write serious. Um, um, so, so I, I ask myself, should I not be funny just to be taken seriously? No, I want to keep my humor because that's one of my strengths as a writer, I think. So I hope that all my books are funny in one way or another. And especially this book, this I knew when I started to write this, that it should be a happy ending because I knew.
Spoiler.
So then I could play and play and I was enjoying that. I knew there should be a happy ending. So the kind of tone is a kind of um, um, you say light?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So and also there are, of course, and I love to write that, and I can remember where I was sitting writing it. When the post worker that tried to make the dead letters. Dead letters are letters with incomplete addresses. So they have, this where they are this place where they lie the dead letters, and then this postal worker, he is so engaged to make these dead letters alive, and he's investigating, and he's um, doing a lot of work, and I love to write that because it's so funny, and I love the person, the postal worker that I was written, who was growing up from the pages, and I was also loving writing that when this Helga Brun is after many years, she got this very serious, no, this very important letter before she dies. So when I'm enjoying myself, it's so easy, and also because I'm writing about that Eleanor has this automatic blah blah language with no contact with the heart, not even with the head.
Yeah.
And then she, when she tried to find another language, a language that is alive, then it's I'm writing like this. Yeah.
I can really believe that because once Eleanor kind of makes that connection between her words and her heart and her head, the book takes off. There's an acceleration. It just lifts off, and she becomes more buoyant, and she's carried along, and the plot just shoots forward. And it is light and it's delightful, and it's a book that you breeze through, which is remarkable given the kind of. I personally, I'm endlessly intrigued by the political debates in the book and the kind of minutiae of workers and the work they do, and that's appealing to me. And I before I read the translation, I was like, is this book going to appeal to everybody? And then once I began it, and once Eleanor her gears kind of click together, it just shoots ahead, and the book is pure delight. And it's a real accomplishment in how you've forged this entertainment, which I mean in the most earnest and laudatory way. You forge this great entertainment from what would be internationally a fairly minor news story, and it's astounding and wonderful. I was really pleased, and yeah, and then Eleanor herself, she takes off on this journey, and then she goes above and beyond, and she leaves Oslo and she goes to interview a retired postal worker, the caretaker of the Helga Brun letter, as you referenced. Did you do any similar research? Did you go above and beyond, or were those figures pure construct, or do they exist?
No, it's just in my imagination.
Okay.
But my grandparents were living north in Norway, very nearby the Russian border. And the kind of humor they have there, they are more, what you call it, in Norway, what you call it when people are not aristocratic, but common people.
Okay.
Yeah. In Norway we say folkelig, but when they have a special humor because it's so dark during winter, it's so cold, and it's a hard life, and but they humor, and they are very direct. They talk very directly, and they also you swear a lot when you say damn it or shit, or
Yeah.
that kind of language. They are very tough in their language. So I have these experiences from my childhood inside me. So but I just made Helga Brun up, yes, and this Karena Hansen. They are just in my imagination, but I'm very fond of them.
That's even more impressive. I'm very fond of them too, and I reckon a great many readers in the coming months will become very fond of them as well. And I love that you reached back to your family in the north of Norway for inspiration and color. I'm speaking to you now from my mother's kitchen in Dundalk, which is in the north of the Republic of Ireland by the border, and it's a town people by, again, very direct, and some would say coarse, I would say delightful people, a singular people. And yeah, I think there'd be some analogous tendencies in those populations. I would hope so anyway. And I guess we should speak about the bizarre and I would say unfortunate political relevance this book has all of a sudden. I don't know if you're very aware of what's happening in the US with the US Postal Service. I mean, I am dimly aware of it, but my understanding is that Trump has appointed a sketchy Republican donor with the great name of Louis DeJoy to slash and burn US Postal Service funding for a couple of reasons. A couple of political and politically petulant reasons, but the result is that things like overtime are being cut drastically, so people aren't getting their letters, and a lot of the fears the postal workers have in this book are coming to light, albeit 8 years later and in a very different continent and place. I know that you said that you came across the EU Third Postal Directive through your boyfriend and his work, but did you have any idea that this political relevance may have been happening around the world and could have cropped up 8 years later? Was it a concern of yours, I should say, rather?
No, but you know that the Postal Worker Union in Norway, they have very tight contact with Postal Workers Union in all other countries. So I knew that, and this PR consultant, the colleague of my boyfriend at the time, he told me about that postal workers in Germany and Netherlands who has introduced this EU's third directive, that they, even though they are working 8 hours a day, they have to go to the social system to pay their bills to live. So, and what it's a trend in all the Western world is that everything is going to be privatized. But when the to build a post system was to build civilization. It was it was a task for the official, for the politician and politicians, and so it's that it was nothing, not a system that some people should earn money on. And I've heard, and this man, my colleague of my former boyfriend, he told me that the Royal Mail in UK, that is owned partly it's owned by a Czech billionaire.
Yeah, it was sold off in 2014, I think.
Yes, and should he care about the post workers' conditions, or about the district, the post system in the districts? No, of course not. So it should be a task for the official system, not to earn money for private people. But I didn't know that in US, of course. No, I didn't know.
You couldn't have known, but it makes for a certain ambivalence when you're publishing a book like this, I guess. But yeah, in 2014 they sold off. 2015 the Royal Mail, I think, for a dreadful loss. I think, yeah, the government took a hiding on that one. Even Thatcher, dreadful human that she was, balked at the idea of selling off Royal Mail. And now here we are, decades later, and it's happening all around the world, which is a crying shame. Yeah, and I think we should probably leave privatization alone, because if I get stuck down that path, it'll just keep winding on and on. I need to congratulate you on the publication in Norway of your new novel, which has the even better title of Is Mother Dead? I have a lot of love for the title Long Live the Post Horn. I had to battle some of my colleagues to keep it a direct translation of the Norwegian, and of course the Kierkegaard epigraph it comes from. But Is Mother Dead? Congratulations on this publication. The reviews have been astounding, and I'm wary of jumping the gun and getting told off by certain parties, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing that book published in English next year. So are you pleased at the reception? Is Mother Dead?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I'm very pleased. It has been very, very nice. So, and I've been, of course, nervous as always. But it's very good. Now it's the reception is it's finished now, so I can I can talk about it. So I'm not that kind of nervous. But it will be a very busy autumn.
Yeah, I can imagine. And so, what's next for you? What have you lined up? Are you taking some time off? I know you're incredibly productive. It's astounding. But what do the next few months have lined up for you?
This autumn, I will follow the Is Mom Dead out in the districts of Norway, like a postman.
Of course.
A postal worker. I'll talk about it and visit a lot of literary houses and that kind of things. But I have an idea for a new novel. I always have, because I feel very lost if I don't have a manuscript I can go to. So I go to my computer, emptying my heart and my head in a kind of new manuscript. So I have this file on my computer, and with my new book. Yes.
How far along is that new book? Is it just an idea? Is it?
I have an idea that is, even though I even think I have a title. but it's a secret.
Okay.
But I'm so looking forward to it, to start working with it. So in 1 month, I think I will, start really to work, and then I have to have at least 10 days. For what the main difficulty when I write is to find the voice of the novel, the voice that can release my feelings and thoughts. I have to have this voice, and then I must be alone in a cottage in the woods or somewhere. I can't go abroad as I used to.
No, that's a pity, but the college will be some tonic to you. How do you've published many novels now, I think. How many is it in total?
I don't know.
You don't have loads. Do you have a way you categorize them? Is it by period? Is it by genre? You mentioned you wrote children's books earlier on in the beginning, but how do you see the chronology of your list? Do you?
No, I don't think about them as a. I always, when I start to write a novel, I start with a kind of dilemma or question that I have myself. And that is a kind of burning question or moral dilemma, or something that is a difficulty I have. And then, but I wouldn't never write a novel if I did think that a lot of people shared this moral dilemma or the burning question. So when I think about my books, I think about the period I was writing them and the burning question, existential question I had at the time. So it's a kind of all my novels are answers to a personal problem.
Okay. Dare I ask it?
When I look at my novels, I just remind me of all my problems.
Yeah. I hope some of those problems have been resolved over the decades. They're not all floating around still. Yeah. I hope some of them, those existential crises, have been put to bed at last. But I know that I've, with Long Live the Posthorn in particular, it really resonated with me. Partly because I think I was, until 2 weeks ago, the same age as Eleanor in the book. I'm now 36, so I've skipped on a bit ahead of her, but I a lot of her problem, even though it was a problem of self-construction, I really sang out loud to me. So but I hope I can put that to bed as well as she did. I don't know. I'm endlessly intrigued by your backlist, and I speak with my Norwegian friends and colleagues, and I speak with your agent, and it's this astoundingly deep and varied body of work. And I'm always looking at which book would I like to read next. That's what I approach publishing. I publish the books I want to read and can't read, because my Duolingo Norwegian has only taken me so far, and that's not far at all. Do you have any particular favorites in your list that have not yet appeared in English that you would think?
It depends, I think, what you like, because I have, as I told you, that I can be funny. I know that.
I know you can be funny.
And then some of my novels are more funnier than others and lighter. So if you prefer that, and that could be, I could give you some titles, but if you prefer the despair, that I also, some of my novels are desperate, I think that would be, even though they also can be a bit funny, their desperation is it's Yeah, there are more desperation than humor in some titles. So it depends, I think, what you like or what you are in the mood for.
I think mood is the key determining factor there. I do enjoy some despair, but I think this year more than most I've been leaning towards levity. The reading I've done in my spare time, I've been spent the year rereading some light-hearted favorites and entertaining books. So, can you recommend one of your more light-hearted, joyful?
But I don't know to say it in. But there one title that is With the Hand on the Heart, and also there is one that what you called it. It's drama, something you have as subject in school. Drama.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have drama with Hilde. It's a drama teacher that is telling her students to be real, but of course they are not real at all. They are just, try to, yeah. So, but I just don't forget my own books. I don't like to talk about them. They are gone. I just want to start with writing a new one.
I get that. My other Norwegian author, Jenny Val, when she's finished with a song or an album, she doesn't play in her concerts old songs. So if you go to see her, I've gone to see her live several times now when she's come to London, and I've always been disappointed that the songs of hers that I first became aware of back in 2015 or 2014 no longer feature on her set lists. And in fact, she doesn't play any old songs. It's all new material, which is both impressive and frustrating from a punter's point of view.
Yeah, I can understand.
Maybe it's a Norwegian mindset that you're always moving forward. Me, I'm a very nostalgic being. I'm always looking over my shoulder, and I don't think I'll ever stop.
Okay.
So I applaud you for being able to not do that and move ahead. Yeah. One of the novels on your very backlist that keeps getting mentioned to me is the English translation is If Only, which is I think
I know that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good novel. Yes, but and the question was, I had been living in a very strong love relation for nearly 10 years, and then we broke up, and the question you ask yourself when a love story ends is, when does it started? When did the end start? And then if you think about you think about the relation when it started, maybe the seed to the end was already in the first meeting, or maybe in the life the two lovers lived before they met. And that's the main question. And then I was writing, this a kind of very strong love relation that is also destructive, because they drink too much, they do sexual things that is not good. I think they're experimenting to keep their love destructive love alive, because they're so dependent on each other. But it's it's not a happy ending on that one.
No, you keep giving spoilers away. Shh. You're ruining it all. I think maybe that's a book for 2021, and the more joyful varieties like Posthorn and is it Drama with Hilda? Mm-hmm. I think they're the books for the year that we are in. But I cannot wait to read them all. It makes me giddy knowing that you have this substantial backlist, and giddy that knowing that you in a month's time will be deep into your next novel. That is in itself joyful. I'm thankful for it. Oh, it's so nice seeing you again. I'm upset we can't go for a drink and a nice lazy lunch after this video chat.
We'll do that next year, I hope.
We'll do it next year, 2021.
Yeah.
We finish Desperate Novels and we will have drinks again.
Yes, that would be
The world
nice.
is now turning.
Yes. Looking forward to that.
Me too. What a treat to see you. Thank you, Vigdis.
Thank you.